Hi YouTube. We were having trouble with our pump just a little bit ago here again. This thing, it's only 2 years old and it's been nothing but a nightmare. But anyway, besides that, so I tried to share um, a song from my childhood what we would sing in church. It's one of the ones we would sing. And then educate people on the fact that Alleluia or Hallelujah, you're praising Satan, whatever. It's broke down the base words. I'm not going to debate etymology of a word with anybody on this. I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, come out of Zion, whatever. That's what that means. The Zionist churches. Yeah, whatever. So anyway, but I love the song, you know. There's it was done a little differently, of course, than what we do it, and that I had found one rendition that reminded me of my choir teacher in the church. She was a trip. I worked for her too at a nursery school. This woman was something else back in them days, kind of modern for even in the 50s and 60s. She was somewhat, I guess, borderline wild. Could have been worse than even what I know looking back at things, but yeah. So anyway, I went to share the song and my internet went down. So, or and Doug's did out in by his desk, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna roll some cigarettes while I talk to you for a little while here. I just thought that was a little odd, you know. Go to share a Christian song and put on there because I'm singing it to God, the one true Almighty, you know, and the net goes down. Go figure. I mean, right in the middle of half the song, I was going to share it and it went down. I'm just a little ironic because right before that, I was listening to Rabbi Simon Jacobson and shared that, and Doug had heard part of that. And no matter what I said about the two types of cultures coming together in agreements under God like that and working with people out here like that as friends, no matter what I said, it was naysayed. Three different things where I tried to go on that level with my Jewish friends, and even having um, blood in my family and, you know, yeah, go figure. So anyway, I had put too much tobacco in that one. Calm down, Barb. Okay, I will. uh, anyway, what a trip. So my internet goes off. Yeah, I don't know. Not everything's a coincidence. At least I don't think so. Like even meeting people, to show each culture and community that we all have God in our heart, no matter how we praise or how we say if it's true in its goodness, and we have love for another and respect. That's a real thing in the world, no matter if you call it a religion or what. So, yeah, that's God working in everybody, you know. And my only issue with people is just as long as you realize you did not make yourself, and that I'm not just talking about your biological parents. So the one true Almighty that holds ourselves together in this seemingly physical, more ethereal existence held together with energy that comes directly from God or whoever you figure your energy source of being able to breathe, wherever that comes from. That's the one I'm talking about, you know. So the true spark and breath of life, you know. So anyway, so it's just odd. So it goes down, you know. Yeah. Anyway, been a weird day. A little hard to make a video, but then I just figured, well, I'm just gonna do it anyway, even if there's interruptions. That's the way things have been going, you know. Old whoever, whatever, wherever, people with bad intentions, you know, or just no intentions at all, just maybe greed and selfishness. Who knows, you know? Who knows the depths of a man's soul besides God, you know? Yeah. And even sometimes I'm sure, you know, people will make him wonder, you know? Like, he says, "Are you sure I made you?" And I'm like, "I'm really not too sure, no. I think you did originally, and then I got kidnapped, and, you know, it's not that I got, what is that? I was gonna say Munchausen. No, it's not that. It's, where you have sympathy or empathy for your captive. There's a name for that stuff." Yeah, I think you know what I mean. No, it's not that. I have no sympathy there. Pity, yeah. Sympathy, no. Anyway, God, now I'm going to try and think of what that is when you have sympathy for your, the tyrants. Oh, well, it doesn't matter, but, or does it? Yeah, probably does. Yeah, but that isn't what it is. Kind of in a way it is, because if we're not aware that there is dark uh, people with, and it's a spiritual thing, and you know where it says where we deal with, not with flesh and blood, but principalities of the air, and that's very true. Satan controls the flesh, so although we deal with the principalities of the air, and that's uh, going to be ending shortly here anyway, that bad energy. It won't be long. As far as human existence is concerned, it'll only be a blink of an eye from what my understanding is. But, yeah. I know I was going to say something else. Maybe I'm not supposed to. I know. No, I did get a little miffed is the word. It's like, how can somebody just ignore people trying to come together in the world in goodness and not think another second thought about it, trying to interrupt or like demean, like, oh, this is what I heard, can he fix my pump? And I said, you know, talking about the Mr. Jacobson, and I said, probably, come to think of it, he probably could if he studied a little bit about it, you know, because I know he's very scientific minded, so I'm sure he could figure it out. And if he was around, I'd bet him probably $1 million if I had it that he would help. You know, that type of person. So yeah, it's really hard not to do that at people some days, you know. Really, you get so much of that, like on a daily basis for 65 years, and you're going to have a little bit of attitude. You know, it's not always that I can't control my impulses, or, you know, I'm not compelled in that area. It's just some days are a bit much, you know, like that. You know, I'm really real there. That's a true thing. Yeah, I'll have a cigarette here. Unreal. Oh no, can he fix my pump? Jerk. Unbelievable. No, but I know somebody else who could probably fix you supper. How's that? No, I don't care. If I do or don't, you know, I don't use that as a bargaining chip. And I just made that really clear. Whatever I do in my life is what I do. And if I have to deal with other people's energy thievedom, then what I have left is for myself, you know. So, and if I do get angry along the way, that's on them. I'll never own that. No, I am too peaceful. I'm not really tolerant of a lot, but I'm a very peaceful person and I'm very patient. But now, this is my time, and that's still up to a point with people. So I'm best off a lot of times, you know, unless I am around the right people, to be alone a lot, you know, and I have been in my life, you know. You just can't kill them, you know, or beat them up or nothing. So you have to really be able to communicate with people so you don't come to odds with them and you can work things out. That's how things get worked out, you know, not by ignoring them or trying to belittle somebody that's actually in there in the trenches with other cultures and trying to work things out behind the scenes, aside from what the dark cabal ilk is doing in their life. So there's ones like us that are out there, like, no matter what they're doing, we're still gonna be us and do our own thing and take no prisoners when it comes to, you know, you have love, and don't let anybody tell you you don't, you know. So yeah, no, I'm not gonna like that. When it comes to like religions or anybody's baloney, I do pick a side in that respect. But other than that, little people's things, like whether it's political or whatever it is, if it isn't hurting other people, you know, in a big way, I usually don't have a problem with anybody, you know. But when I know they have great influence in the world and can actually put wrenches in between the hearts of good people and or electronics or um, in the political arena or religious arena or whatever it is, if they can throw wrenches in there in the ether in other people's hearts and minds, not in yours or mine, but in other unsuspecting people, that's a big deal. And then you always got to think, well, who's talking? You know, it's not you, you know. So if it's not decent, that's not you, unless you're a psychopath. Hey, even if Satan's your daddy, you can still be a decent human being. You can show him that you grew out of it and he couldn't, you know. How would that go? Probably wouldn't go over too good. That's like having a spouse that's lagging and they want to be childlike and selfish for the rest of, or not even, well, yeah, selfish for the rest of their lives, but and don't want to grow with you, you know, so you got to kind of leave them in the dust. It's like, yeah, okay, but you're not a little kid, you know. And the example that you're putting out there with that, it's not childlike, going before God, but childish, there's a big difference, you know? So, yeah, I can do children, and I can even do childlike, but I can't do childish, you know? I mean, not that I haven't. I've displayed my anger, and that's childish. It is. I'm not making any excuses. I just hope it doesn't happen, you know? I hope less every day than I ever did, let's put it that way, for my aggression, you know? I don't want to make any excuses. I want to get better every day, you know, and not let it bother me, you know? But it does bother me. You know, when I'm talking good things like, geez, I'm communicating, I know I am with somebody that can make a difference in the Gentiles' lives in a Jewish community, and communicating with people that we can find words in common to praise the same God. That's pretty amazing, you know, to find that in other human beings, no matter who. That's a beautiful thing. So yeah, and I got belittled and just trying to take the wind out of my sails, you know. It's a constant like that, you know. So yeah, that's why I fight so hard just to keep talking, because when you know that they've tried to silence you all your life, just keep going. I think it just bothers the shit out of Satan, you know? Or that, I should say, satanic force, whoever carries the torch, you know, if you can call it a torch. Yeah, I guess that's the same difference as a black light. I like black lights, so, but not like that. Yeah. It's okay, you can be surrounded by dark and still be light, and everybody will see it. Except what I go through, very few people actually even see, and I can't prove a dang thing, you know, unless I actually have recordings of some odd behavior that specialists would recognize, then you know what's going on. Yeah. But I did find out one thing, that when I was going through some really rough spiritual times, I could tell who was out there for me and who wasn't, and who was being neutral and who wasn't, and the whole thing, and why, you know. So I learn a lot, and you do find out who your friends are when you're down, you know. Oh, I just had the wind dump all my cigarette tubes. Thank you. He's like, thought I told you to quit smoking. Well, I'm not telling anybody that it's good. I'm just telling them I'm not going to let it affect me. Yeah. So, believe it or not. But thanks anyway. It was a good idea. I think I'm going to have to pay extra for that one. Pretty sure. No one rides for free. I heard that from Satan. Yeah, true story. And I told him, that's right. Don't you ever forget it. See, now, if I was Satan on planet Earth that doesn't belong to him, I would think I might be in dangerous territory, you know? When you shine on a light on the misdeeds, you know, that harm. people don't like it all the time, you know. They always want to find where's your fault, what's your fault, you know. If you can own up to it and fix it, that'd be good, you know. We each have to do that in our lives. Rabbi Simon had a great idea as far as our compulsions, like, you know, things that you've overcome in your life, like to make a list of things that you do if it's biting your nails or whatever, and um, things that you've overcome, and make a list and see the things that you actually do better, or you do better on something. Like if you're too skinny and you eat a little more, um, maybe you need more protein or whatever, you know, that type of, you might even be healing parts of yourself that, you know, I know. Anyway, who knows what I'm talking about, right? But anyway, there might be certain reasons why you might need more protein in your life, or calcium or whatever, you know. But I don't know where I was going with that. I might get back there. Yeah, it did throw me off. I had pretty much, I was just gonna go off of from what I was talking about yesterday, you know, learning lessons. Yeah, that's what I was talking about as far as finding out who was behind what I'm trying to do in the world, and who actually realizes even what that is, you know. Yeah. Yes, I find out. I find out. Yeah. Oh, jeez. And I used to think all people, I think they are meant to want to learn and, you know, do cool things, like there's a future. But I don't think a lot of people understand that there is a future besides this. I think their faith isn't quite where it could be. And with all the noise of the world, it's hard for them to realize that, you know. If we're trying to talk to the younger generation and say, look, um, there's a lot of, I call misplaced sexuality on the planet that people really, really, it's a killer in so many ways, you know. If I could make kids understand that they wouldn't get into their 20s and 30s and 40s and still be struggling, you know. It's like if I could make that clear somehow, you know, to start having self-control when we're a little younger, you know. And that goes like, even I was talking about marriage and courting and that type of thing, that is a safety measure, you know, for everybody concerned, actually, with the gentler sex, gender. Yeah, if I could just make people magically understand, you know, the danger. I don't know, hard to explain. I guess maybe everybody's got to live through their stuff, you know, and get better every day. I guess that's just the way it is. But oh, that's what I was thinking about, you know, like my generation, we started like not beating the effing crap out of our kids. The generation before, I mean, corporal punishment was legal towards your children. I mean, child abuse was overlooked and a common thing out in public. Smack your kid, no problem. Everybody did. Well, not everybody, but it was acceptable. And then we get to like my generation, and it's like, no, And I told my adopted parents, you lay one hand on my child and it's not going to be pretty, you know? I'm serious. I'm dead serious. That's where it began for me in my 20s. So it's been quite some time on this planet where somebody like me stood up and said, no, you know what, you Masonic pieces of work, you're not going to take out the frontal lobes of people and try and penetrate right down to their reptilian brain with your bullshit, like even like neck locks and Spocks and different shit that can do nerve damage. You know, all their Masonic tricks. I said, put one hand on my kid and see what happens. You know, just keep that in mind. And I couldn't keep them away from their mouse, but I tried legally. That part didn't work out too good, but yeah. So yeah, I was just thinking this morning of all the people that I talk to that are relatively my age, grew up most assuredly, especially a lot of the guys. I mean, it used to be like in the old days, you take your kid out behind the woodshed and beat them with a 2x4, shit like that. And belts and all kinds of, like, whipping the shit out of them or punching them or whatever. It went beyond spankings, you know. It wasn't like it is now. You touch a kid, you even slap your baby's fingers, and child protection services will be called, you know. It's not like it used to be. Even the threat of spanking your child, you know. I just asked my child one time in a laundromat a long time ago, and I was living in Arizona, and I told them to stop running around with the cart because people were trying to get their laundry done after the third time because my oldest son was starting to get tired. And I said, do you want me to spank you after the third time? And this guy jumped in and he said, and I wasn't in the mood. I really wasn't. He said, that's child abuse and I'm calling the cops. I said, I haven't laid a hand on my child. And I said, Luke and John, go outside. And they did. Listen right away then, because they knew. And I said, listen, whatever. It's not my kid that needs a spanking. You keep your mouth shut. I've never laid a hand on my children, you know. So, I take that back. I did spank them, but not spanking hard, you know. They didn't even, it wasn't to make them cry, you know. And that was very few times, and I regret that. But I mean, towards this man, I told him, I said, basically, I didn't say I never spank my kids. What I said was, I'll kick your ass. You shut the fuck up, you know. I said, when I tell my child to do something, you don't interrupt me. Because it was his ethereal mind that was making my child misbehave, is what I'm getting at. That was a little hard to express, wasn't it? But it's true. So then I went outside and I told the kids, we're almost done here. Let's go back in and get our stuff and ignore that stupid man. And we did. But, yeah. Anyway, I did slap my little one's fingers. He was reaching for the stove and he had already burnt himself when I was at school one night. And he was in his little roll around thingy. And my oldest, I spanked him. And then when we moved out here, I spanked my youngest one twice and my oldest one once. And that's how many times, you know. And that was some very severe stuff that they were doing that, yeah. I'm not saying corporal punishment. I'm talking about a swat on their bottoms, you know. And I still am not making excuses for that. That's the topic that I was thinking about, how I was raised with corporal punishment. And a lot of people my age were, and it wasn't a joke. It wasn't anything to overlook. And I believe even what was passed on to my sons from their dad, and partially on me there, and a lot of other people out on this planet have helped, not helped, aided the abusive nature of like psychopaths and narcissists and people with other behavioral and mental illnesses. Like prisons are full of them. How many of them had fathers that were beat half to death, or even the mothers? And the husbands would beat the women, and what a brutal society, eh? You know? It's heartbreaking. And then you got the people that hurt animals. And then you got the people that worry about animals being hurt than they do other people, you know? So, and that was part of what Doug brought up when I said I was, he looked at Simon Jacobson's yarmulke and says, oh, he's got a little hat, he's one of them. And I said, yeah, he's a little different, and you'd like him if you listen to him, and he'd like you too, you know? It's like, yeah, well, no, I'm not Jewish. I'll never be any religion, you know? I know enough not to be. For myself personally. And I studied all religions and everything cult and everything Gnostic. You know, whatever. Not like I know anything. You know. I don't know diddly doodly. Oh, blew me away. I was listening to Professor Sam Bogdan. Bachman. I hope I'm trying to say it like he says it, but I can't. I will. I'll get it and remember it perfectly, but just not today. I don't think I did it right. But anyway, he said a couple of my favorite words in the beginning of one video. One was discombobulated, and he said something else like his $5 or $10 words, and then he'll say, look it up, you know. Well, I'll give you that one. That just means in pieces or segments, or a strewn, like throwing my tobacco over. That would be a strewn. That would be discombobulated. Or a contortionist would be considered somewhat in the act of being a contortionist, would be discombobulated. And then I have another, there's more to that too, but I have a funny one. When you're fishing out on a lake and you use a hook and bobber, if you just drop your line, it's discombobulated. There's no bobber on it. That's just funny. But yeah. There was something else he said too that was a really good word. Means out of sorts. It means discombobulated, to be put into pieces or shattered, or where you can't be put back together. There's a lot of different meanings for that word. In fact, that word is discombobulated. It's all over the place, you know. It's like God inside of us. He's discombobulated, and you think he's happy? How would you like it if your cells weren't behaving? Yeah, it's not very nice, is it? I don't like it either. Hey, God, could you, like, do something about this stuff? You know? Thanks ahead of time. Yeah, good words, love words. What I love more, not that somebody that has making money off of literature or whatever, or being a teacher or whatever, but I like to find words for people and educate them on the words, or if I say something that I think that some people won't know, or even another language, I'll give an example of that word. I try to, if it's something a little out of the norm, then I will give another example. And I like and there's people that do, and I'm not putting anybody down because they'll go right into what they're talking about in association with that word, but not a lot of people are bright enough to catch that part, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, that's a trick of the trade for sure. But you are educating, no doubt, you know. Just that mine's a little more in depth and a little more free flowing and like free for the time being. Yeah. So it's been a trying like usual, but nice day. Don't know if my water's gonna work. Don't know if we have to pull the pipes out and put another sand point, and that's a trip if we gotta do that. That's really hard. But well, yeah. If anybody believes in prayer, that'd be a good thing. I had a friend of mine, she passed around a meme that said, surround yourself with women that pray behind your back. I thought that is so beautiful. Yeah, I do try to do that. And men, you know. Yeah, because God knows if we ask him, you know, and if we mean it, you know. It's like I was telling Doug the other night, it was something about, like with or without me, whatever, in his life. I just want him to be happy. I don't want to make his life miserable. I don't want anybody make my life miserable either, but, you know. No, but, and I really mean it, and I repeat it to him. I just want him to be happy, you know, no matter what, whatever it takes, you know. I think we all just would like to have that in our lives, you know, that's a big deal, you know. Of course, nobody can make us happy if we're not happy, but if we are very happy naturally, people can try and make you unhappy, and they can at times succeed because it does wear on you, but, and that's what we would call maybe, if you're naturally happy, having a bad day, you know, because you're sensitive like that. But yeah, surrounding ourselves with people that recognize those type of things, that's pretty cool. I did find a place last night for my oldest son. It's called A Place for You. They help with like rides and medical, and they have like meals all together as a group. It's a homeless place, but they help him. He's got money coming in, but they can help him like save until he gets on his feet, um, and provide him with whatever care he's going to need. And they work with people that have had a history of like being jailed or whatever, and mental illnesses. And they're very compassionate and respectful of each individual. And so it sounds like if he is willing to step up to the plate as far as putting the hard drugs and alcohol down, because either wherever he is, most wherever he is, even weed is legal, and he does not get animalistic on it like he does with alcohol or hard drugs. So he's got a chance to live a peaceful life, and even he's got a neck injury plus a neurological disease that is a very uh, it's closely linked to Parkinson's, and it affects his speech. So it's not just something like, gee, he could go anywhere and get any kind of help or anything. This is like severe, and he's got a neck injury too. I said, yeah. So I mean, this is some severe help that he needs, and I'm not really qualified to give him all the help that he needs right now. I mean, housing is one thing, but I even put my extra bed out in the kitty house because I didn't think anybody'd be coming. And my cats actually popped. I had an airbag one. I mean, that isn't even the issue that I could come up with, but it's actually needing to know that he's going to stay sober enough to care about other people and communicate as well. And he can write. It's hard, but he can write if he has to. So, I mean, he can communicate. He can talk. It's just that when he's talking, he'll like his hands will like move until he can control them, and then he can get the speech out. So it's reminiscent of Parkinson, but not the actual continual movement. It's a little bit different, you know. And God knows with all the stuff, I mean, head injuries and different things. He had valley fever. He had bad reaction to some of the sauce that they made babies get back in the days. And I mean, so, and a whole bunch of other bad things. So, yeah, I think I found a place if he's willing to if somebody can help him fill out, there's an application he's got to fill out, and I sent it to his ex-wife that is willing, I think, to send it to him, I hope. Otherwise, I'll have to try and get it to him somehow. So wish me luck with all that. I spent time last night looking for this place, and so it sounds like it could be a place where they can help him find his own little place to live and be around in a community where he can get the help in need, or just even make friends and live a healthy life, you know. And hopefully I can be a part of that, but unless he's willing to resemble a human somewhat, he's got to try a little bit as an adult man that isn't incarcerated. He has to take some responsibility for himself there and then I can help. Then I'll be behind them 100%, you know. But until that move, I can't really do nothing, you know. That's with either of my kids. I can't help them anymore unless they want to help themselves, you know. So that's what's on my mind today. Quite a bit and more, you know. So I'm going to get this uploaded, and I appreciate you joining me, and I'm sure you have some similar struggles, or at least one of my topics might have resonated with you. So, all right, everybody. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA. Have a good night or day wherever you're at.